tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammam sangham sangam. Okay, welcome everyone. And today we are going to listen to the sutta from Anguttara Nikaya. Anguttara Nikaya, book of 7. Sutta number 64, Kodhanasutta. The Pali word actually means krodhana or anger, but sometimes some other translations has also given it as irritable or irritability. So there are, I have read like 2 or 3 translations. I think it's better if we I found it better compatible for our discussion is like from Bhikkhu Sujato. So I'm sharing the screen. We have already shared this link on the chat. Also, at some time in this reading, I may go back or read Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, or maybe after reading it, we can just reflect back on that also. Okay. This anger or irritable, when we go through this sutta, we can see it's actually given in a quite different way, where what happens if we become angry or irritation happens in our body, or if we are generally feeling disharmony with whatever happening, or something which is triggering us, or the tension tightness happening. This is the actual cause of this irritability or anger coming into the picture. So if we can fix it as soon as possible, it's well and fine. If we are not doing it, what will it lead to? What happens? Like, what happens to an enemy when if they are doing it? How does the enemy feel about the anger or irritability in the other person? So let's get started. And Kodhanasutta, irritable or anger, mendicants. These 7 things that please and assist an enemy happen to an irritable woman or a man. What 7? So the Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation is, because there are these 7 things that are gratifying and advantageous to an enemy that come upon an angry man or a woman. What 7? So the enemy becomes pleased and happy, and these are the things that the enemy feel advantageous when a person is angry or irritable. What 7? Firstly, an enemy wishes for an enemy if only they would become ugly. Why is that? Because an enemy doesn't like to have a beautiful enemy. An irritable person, overcome and overwhelmed by anger, is ugly, even though they are nicely bathed and anointed with hair and beard dressed and wearing white clothes. This is the first thing that pleases and assists an enemy, which happened to an irritable woman or a man. So we can see this is the first reason. An enemy always wishes, or they feel happy. They don't want their enemies to look beautiful. They want them to become ugly. So when a person is angry or irritable, what happens is their facial expression or the state of mind is anger and irritable. They are in disharmony with, or they are just fighting with the truth. So even though they are well dressed, even if they are wearing white, even they have nicely combed hair, bathed, whatever the way they are being presented externally, but internally, because of that irritation or irritability, anger, they look ugly. This is what is advantageous for an enemy. And so next, there's the second reason why one should not be anger or irritability. Furthermore, an enemy wishes for an enemy if only they would sleep badly. Why is that? Because an enemy doesn't like to leave an enemy, doesn't like to have an enemy who sleeps at ease. An irritable person, overcome and overwhelmed by anger, sleeps badly. Even though they sleep on a couch spread with a woolen covers, shag pile, pure white or embroidered with flowers, and spread with a fine bead feet, with a canopy above and red pillows at the both ends. This is the second thing that pleases and assists an enemy, which happened to an irritable man or a woman. So, what happens if the state of mind is like anger or irritable? We can't fall asleep. We can't sleep in at ease. Definitely, our mind is having non-stop thoughts, or it's keep on thinking this or that. It gets into mental proliferation, and again, all these of things are happening because of this anger and irritability. And also because of this, when the enemy sees that angry person, they feel happy because they don't want that enemy to sleep happily. They want them to sleep badly. And this is what they wish for, and this is advantageous to them as well as to that person. And also at the end of the sutta, as we read the seven qualities, after that, there is like a poem given where after reading all of this, Buddha says, now this is the instruction. What should you do? So we'll read this, and as we go along, we'll keep learning. Furthermore, an enemy wishes for an enemy if only they don't get all they need. Why is that? Because an enemy doesn't like to have an enemy who gets all they need. When an irritable person, overcome and overwhelmed by anger, gets what they don't need, they think, I have got what I need. When they get what they need, they think, I got what I don't need. When an angry person gets these things that are the exact opposite of what they need, it is for their lasting harm and suffering. This is the third thing. So we can see if a person is angry or irritable, what happens? In the unessential, they start taking what is essential. In the essential, they start seeing unessential. And in the same way, if that person is angry, if they are getting something out of that, they think this is not needed for me, this is, and the other thing which is unessential for them, they think this is needed for me. And because of this, they experience loss and suffering or harm to themselves. And seeing all of this happening to an enemy, the enemy becomes happy. And this is what they wish for. And they don't want the enemies or the other person to get all they need. So this is kind of having two perspectives. We are looking at the same sutta from the person of an angry person and the person who is just looking at them as an enemy. Furthermore, an enemy wishes for an enemy if only they were not wealthy. Why is that? Because an enemy doesn't like to have an enemy who is wealthy. When a person is irritable, overcome and overwhelmed by anger, and rulers seize the legitimate wealth they have earned by their efforts, built up with their own hands, gathered by the sweat of their brows. This is the fourth thing. So enemy definitely wishes their enemy should not be wealthy. And if a person is angry, what happens because of his bad actions, unwholesome actions? Even though if he earns all the wealth will be taken or will be seized by the rulers or the kings. And seeing this, the enemy is happy. They wish they don't be wealthy. And this anger is causing that to happen. Furthermore, an enemy wishes for an enemy if only they were not famous. Why is that? Because an enemy doesn't like to have a famous enemy. When a person is irritable, overcome and overwhelmed by anger, any fame they have acquired by diligence falls to dust. This is the fifth thing. So if you are just looking at a person who is angry, definitely if they have had earned good name and fame, even for instance, if they show some anger in public, what happens? Even in public or even internally, if they have anger and they just show it outside, definitely those people surrounding him have this perspective of all whatever he has gathered so much of fame will definitely fall to dust. There is no more, like, they'll start treating him in a different way. So enemy always wishes for an enemy should not be famous. They should not be famous. They wishes like that. Furthermore, an enemy wishes for an enemy if only they had no friends. Why is that? Because an enemy doesn't like to have an enemy with friends. When a person is irritable, overcome, and overwhelmed by anger, their friends and colleagues, relatives and kins avoid them from afar. This is the sixth thing. So an enemy is wishing for an enemy to have no friends. And when he is seeing an enemy in an angry way, definitely their friends, their relatives will start avoiding them. And why they avoid is given in down in the poem, but I'm just sharing it now also because when you see a person who is angry, just going nearby them or hearing to those words creates some sort of dif- uh, difference in our energies or the vibe changes, or it some way triggers the mind to have that anger getting carried over by us also. If we are not mindful, it just keeps going on. So it's better to avoid the angry people and people, relatives, friends. If a person is angry, they just say, okay, now he's angry, we just not speak to him now. We'll go to that person after a while. Then the anger has come down. And looking at a angry person, the enemy feels happy because no friends are coming to him and they are not helping him anyway. And he has no friends now. And looking at that, the enemy is happy. Furthermore, an enemy wishes for an enemy if only when their body breaks up after death, they are reborn in a place of loss, a bad place, the underworld, hell. Why is that? Because an enemy doesn't like to have an enemy who goes to a good place. When a person is irritable, overcome, and overwhelmed by anger, they do bad things by way of body, speech, and mind. When their body breaks up after death, they are reborn in a place of loss, a bad place, the underworld, hell. This is the seventh thing that pleases and assists an enemy, which happens to an irritable woman or a man. So, definitely, an enemy does not wish, definitely wishes for the enemy when he dies, may he go to the hell. And it's not because he is wishing them to go to hell, but because if their actions are such that They are not performing wholesome actions, and they are doing bad actions by way of body, speech, and mind. And because of those actions, they are going to the hell. Because of the anger, because of the irritability, they are going to the hell. And they are being reborn in bad place, in a place of loss. This is the seventh thing, looking at which the enemy is happy. And this is what they wish for. So these are the seven things that please and assist an enemy which happen to an irritable woman or a man. So these seven things that we just read, we are looking at this with two different perspectives, as an enemy and as an angry person. So what happens if a person is irritable or anger or dissatisfaction? So initially it just starts with a small trigger of tension tightness, and over a period it just keeps growing. If we don't relax, if we don't 6 hour it immediately, the same contact keeps coming, then story builds up, and there is a lot of dissatisfaction that is coming up, and there is no more mindfulness. And after a period, if there is something other than this happening, and that triggers you, and we just break into the anger. We just shout at people, or there is verbal misconduct, or some way of misconduct happening. There's no harmony, or we just fight with the reality, and there's just suffering happening, dissatisfaction, disharmony. And what happens after that? Like, what kind of actions we might be taking when a person is angry and irritable? An angry person is ugly. They sleep badly and they get what they need. When they get what they need, they take it to be what they don't need. Even though if we say just relax or smile or something, that's cool happening. But they think, no, 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 this is not going to help me. I don't want this. I just want to have a coffee, or I just want to take a break, go, or just something that's completely unessential. And it's not going to help them in any way. And they are going to take things in the wrong way. An angry person kills with body or speech. Definitely, they perform misconduct by body or misconduct by speech because of the anger. Overcome with anger, they lose their will. So whatever will they are acquiring, or maybe in anger, they might do something that is uh, that they cause their will to be drained. Mad with anger, they fall into disgrace. Family, friends, and loved ones avoid an irritable person. So definitely, if a person is angry, in any family or any friends, if a person is angry, they just say, no, 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 don't go to him now. He's angry. Just leave him alone. Or they just say, no, no, don't go and have a talk with him. So it's really important to not to get angry. Definitely, as a lay people, we have this dissatisfaction, or somewhere in our uh, life we face these kind of situations where we might have to maybe just raise the pitch of our voice, even though if it's not anger, maybe out of compassion. Still, we need to have this mindfulness established so that we don't go through these phases. Mad with anger, they fall into disgrace. Family, friends, and loved ones avoid an irritable person. So it's not only anger or verbal uh, disturbance or misuse by speech. It's also the inner dissatisfaction or inner irritability that we are feeling. Anger creates harm. Anger upsets the mind. That person doesn't recognize the danger that arises within. So we can see the first step of 6R here, the recognized step. Anger creates harm. Definitely, it first harms himself, then creates harm in others, maybe in surroundings. Anger upsets the mind. Once there is anger, there is no peace of mind. There is no more happiness. Because the mind is upset, maybe some restlessness, maybe some doubt, all the hindrances coming and attacking together. So the mind is upset. That person does not recognize. So there is no mindfulness established. The mind has moved to the anger. So if we do not recognize, how can we do the 6 hours? So having the mindfulness established, having recognized, we should definitely use the 6 hours, right effort, and let it go and relax the tension type is happening. That person does not recognize the danger that arises within. Okay, he is looking now, I'm getting angry, yes, I'm going to do this, he's going to think. And then if he do not recognize, he's not looking at the danger that is coming up behind that anger. So one should be very cautious regarding the anger. An angry person doesn't know the good. An angry person does not see the truth. When a person is beset by anger, only blind darkness is left. So a person, when if he's angry, he don't know what is good or what is bad. If a person is angry, he do not know what is the truth. He's just fighting with the reality. When a person is beset by anger, only blind darkness is left. Definitely, he's like, it's like whatever is happening, he's just keep on fighting. The irritable person or the restlessness, not being mindful, his mind become cloudy. He's like in the blind darkness. He's not seeing the truth. An angry person destroys with ease what was hard to build. So if there is some kind of uh, relationship that is happening, like even in the office with your boss or with even your colleagues, or even in our society, even in community, if there is some kind of relationship that was hard to build, and in anger you might have just destroyed that relationship, that bonding that happened within a fraction of words, or within words, minutes. So the angry person does not know that he is destroying that which was hard to build, that communication. And afterwards, when the anger is spent, they are tormented as if burnt by fire. And after 1 or 2 days, when they reflect back what had happened, they are like, there is nothing to like take care of. It's just all burnt and there's just ashes left, nothing to be done. We can't do anything. All have been done. Their look betrays their sulkiness like a fire smoky plume. And when their anger flares up, they make others angry. So when they look betrays their sulkiness, so this is dullness or being. I actually read the meaning of sulkiness, just forgot. Let me check once again. Sulkiness. Actually, it has quite different meaning. Behavior in which you refuse to smile or be pleasant to people. So it's simply not ready to smile yet. Their looks betrays their sulkiness, so they are like having all sad faces or don't want to smile anymore. They are like fire smoky plume. It's just plume that is flowing. And with that, when their angry flares up, they make others angry. So when there is a fire that's burning, what that does is when the plume is coming up, it burns away all the things that is in the surroundings. In the same way, the anger, what does is it makes other people surrounding them just to fight for something, or they have this energy that is getting carried over, the anger from him to her, the other person, and the other person say something and they take it to them, and there is something that they add. In this process, they are just keep on adding up that energy. which is not good for both of them. They have no conscience or prudence. They have no mindfulness. There's no consciousness, the proper consciousness of like what is being happening, nor any respectful speech. So there is no not keeping any precepts, or maybe they have the broken the precept. Overcome by anger. One overcome by anger has no island refuge anywhere. So when a person is angry, when a person is completely in anger, they have no island or refuge anywhere. So the Buddha, when we take refuges in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, in the teachings also, Buddha says, be the refuge unto oneself. Be your own refuge. Take your refuge on your mindfulness, on your practice, on what you're doing, continually being established in mindfulness, striving hard. But this person who is angry, he cannot even take refuge onto himself. How would he take refuge in the path or look at the reality? So there is no refuge for him. The deeds that torment a man are far from those that are good. So definitely whatever actions he has done are all, if in anger, have been done in a wrong way. And because of that, whatever good he might have done are much far away to come and help him. I will explain them now. Listen to this, for it is the truth. So now we have read what makes the enemies happy, or what happens if a person is angry, and what's the, even though if they are well dressed or they have comforting bed, they can't sleep. We have all read all this regarding irritability, mind, and taking a precept and all. And now we are looking at the teachings of the Dhamma, like what happens, like what should be done and what should not be done. I will explain them now. Listen to this, for it is the truth. An angry person slays their father, their mother too they slay. An angry person slays a saint, a normal person too they slay. So this is like killing a father or killing a mother in anger, or maybe killing a saint or maybe a normal person too they may kill. So this slay, few translation actually used the word of killing, or maybe so it's not only like physically harming them, maybe mentally they are using the words that are very much in out of the cycle of the Dhamma. So they are like using unwholesome verbal actions. Because of that, they're like being on disharmony with their father, with their mother, and with their saints, or with any, even with normal people whom even they like normally speak. They just show the anger to those people who are like even normal, and then they suffer. A man is raised by his mother, who shows him the world, but an angry ordinary person slays even that good woman who gives him life. So in anger, what happens is, the mother who has raised us or has shown us the world, if a person is angry, they even slay her. Like oneself, all sentient beings hold themselves most dear. But angry people kill themselves all kinds of ways, distraught for many reasons. So first, when we get anger, what happens? Who is the first uh, tension, tightness arising, or what's who is the person that's causing suffering? Is we ourselves. When we get anger, we are the first person who are slaying ourselves. So we need to first be loving and kind to ourselves, then we can be loving and kind to all people. And the most we hold dear to ourselves. But in anger, we do all that actions that are many reasons. We have so many reasons in back up that we just keep holding on to that anger instead of just letting it go. And in that period, as long as we keep holding that, it just keeps on burdening us. So when we just let go of that anger, it gives us release. Some kill themselves with swords. Some distraught take poison. Some hang themselves with rope or fling themselves down a mountain jaws. So this is talking about having suicidal thoughts, like because of the anger or irritability or dissatisfaction that is happening, because of taking it so much personally, they go to that extent that they try to kill themselves, or maybe just take a poison, or just take a rope and hang, or just jump into a mountain george. All this is happening because of anger and irritability. So this root cause always comes back to the moments of mind's attention. Immediately as the moment of mind's attention has gone, if you can recognize it, release, relax, smile, return, and bring back your mind to a wholesome state, all these things will not keep happening. So if we do not recognize, it's like going into that mental proliferation or taking a wrong route. So all this tension, tightness, mental proliferation, mind becoming tight, heaviness, anger coming up, irritability, restlessness, all these things pile up, and ultimately there are people in this world who take these kinds of action, not knowing that this is the anger, and if we do not recognize it, this is causing death. When they commit deeds of killing babies and killing themselves, they don't realize what they do. For anger leads to their downfall. Okay. For this, I'm just reading Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation also. Deeds that involve destroying growth and deeds that cause their own death. When doing such deeds, they do not know that defeat is born of anger. So even if they are doing something in anger, they do not know, they do not have the mindfulness that they are being defeated, and this defeat is born of anger. The internal contact that is happening is because of that anger that is causing this restlessness and these actions to be performed. The snare of death is the form of anger, lies hidden in the heart. You should cut it out by self control, by wisdom, energy, and right ideas. So, this is the part that the Buddha has been speaking about. So, the snare of death is the form of anger, which lies inside the heart. Definitely, this is the ultimate truth. Death is part of the samsara. So, that's the reality. And it's there in each and individual hearts that is hidden. And the anger is not the solution, like taking yourself, like killing other people or killing yourself, whatever it is, it's not the right way. You should cut it out by self control. How should we like remove this anger? It is by self control. It's having the boundaries established, like taking the precepts and keeping those precepts, maintaining and cultivating mindfulness by wisdom, energy, and right ideas. So this is right view also. Bhikkhu Bodhi has used the word right view, and this is right ideas. And the self-control is like, as soon as you recognize it, even if it's as arisen, if you zigzag it, it's not goes away for first time, second time, but having that fun part in the game, keeping a little smile and doing it repeatedly with continuous energy and wisdom, you have you can have this anger removed, cut it off by self-control. An astute person should cut out this unskillful thing. So whatever we have read, the anger, irritability, dissatisfaction, or restlessness that's happening, this is an unskillful thing, and an astute or maybe a student who is practicing Dhamma should cut out this thing, remove this dissatisfaction, disharmony from our hearts, from our mind. And they would train in the teachings in just the same way, not yielding to sulkiness. So again, here they are saying one should be smiling, and here it is saying uh, they should keep on striving and keep on learning the teachings and keeping this training in the teachings, keep it going, like repeat step. Let's keep on doing the walking on the path of the Dhamma and not yielding to sulkiness. We just read the meaning of sulkiness, like do not want to smile. And we should not go to a state we don't want to smile anymore. Free of anger, free of despair, free of greed, with no more longing. Damned, having given up anger, the undefiled become fully extinguished. So when a person has completely free from anger, or free from suffering, free from greed, hatred, or delusion, with no more longing for any kind of existence, tamed, which is very well trained mind, having given up anger, completely giving up anger, not only first time, second time, third time, but hundreds of times when it arises, having given it up, like completely removed, the undefiled become fully extinguished. There is no defilements in that person who is fully enlightened, who have come out of this samsara, like they have extinguished this fire of greed, hatred, and delusion, has become an arahant. And this is the sutta. The sutta ends here, but maybe until then you can reflect. I'll just it has similar kind of meaning. Maybe I can read just the poem part of Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, just for like a summary or just like a revision. The angry person is ugly. He also sleeps badly. Having gained some benefit, he takes it to be harmful. The angry person, overcome by anger, having slain by body and speech, incurs the loss of wealth. Maddened by anger, he acquires bad reputation. His relatives, friends, and loved ones avoid the angry person. Anger is a cause of harm. Anger stirs up mental state of confusion. People do not recognize the peril that has arisen from within. The angry person doesn't know the good. The angry person does not see the Dhamma. There is just blindness and dense gloom when anger overcomes a person. When an angry person causes damage, whether easily or with difficulty, later when the anger has vanished, he is tormented as if burned by fire. He shows recalcitrant as a fire does a smoky crest. When his anger spreads outwards, people become angry on his account. He, he has no shame or fear of wrong. His speech is not respectful, overcome by anger, has no island of safety at all. I will tell you about the deeds that produce extreme pain. Listen to them as they are removed from those that are righteous. An angry person slays his father, an angry person slays his own mother, an angry person slays a Brahmin, an angry person slays a worldling, an angry worldling slays his mother, the good woman who gave him birth, life, the one who by whom he was nurtured and who showed him this world. Those beings like oneself each hold their self most dear. Yet those who are angry kill themselves in various ways when they are distraught about diverse matters. Some kill themselves with a sword, some who are distraught swallow poison. Some hang themselves with a rope, some jump into a mountain jords. Deeds that involve destroying growth and deeds that cause their own wealth. When doing such deeds, they do not know that defeat is born of anger. Thus, death snare hidden in the heart has taken the form of anger. One should cut it off by self control, wisdom, energy, and right view. The wise person should eradicate this an unwholesome quality. In such a way, one should train in the Dhamma. Do not yield to recalcitrate. Free from anger, their misery gone, free from delusion, no longer avid, tamed, having abandoned anger, the taintless ones attain Nibbana. So this is from Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. So the anger or irritability, restlessness, whatever is first happening by the tension tightness that is coming up in our head. So cultivating the mindfulness and having established in the path, keeping the smile going and not being sulky is also important. We need to keep smiling, keep doing the practice, and keep letting go of this anger. Recognizing it is very important. And the repeat step is also very important, which has also been stated in the sutta. Uh, Anybody have any reflection on this sutta or want to share something on the practice, insights?
I have a question, Mrs. Sindhu. So lately, it's not that I'm an angry person, but I notice like I get angry or I get triggered if uh, someone says something that presses a button, we call it. So, all of us, we have certain values. For example, we hold by those values, whether they are our precepts or our beliefs. So if I encounter someone who, in my perceived state, goes against those values, it presses my button or it triggers that state. So it made me reflect a little bit. Why does my perception tell, like, what made me perceive that what they say is going against my values? So that's the first reflection. What is it in their, like, what is it in their tone or their choice of words or their body language or the combination of three? What is it that triggers, in my perception, that what they imply is going against my belief? So for example, one of my belief is honesty with sincerity, let's say. So if someone wants to offer to help me, or they are, let's say, asking how was my day? Very basic question. How are you, or how was your day, or whatever it is. And if it is asked by someone who somehow I already formed a prior judgment or a prior perception, my system is already biased. My system is already, like, oh, this person said something to me, they're not really sincere, why do they even bother saying that to me? And then it will trigger that button in me that says, that values sincerity. So then, and then I get irritable. I won't necessarily get angry, like I won't necessarily fire back, but I can sense that feeling of irritation already come up. And so when I was reflecting this, I thought it was very interesting. And I had this conversation with a friend just a few hours ago. I was like, it's funny, right? How the same person can ask the same question in the same tone to someone else, and the other person won't perceive it in the way that I perceive it. I perceive it as something that totally irritates me, and the other person might just think it's a very fair question or a very fair statement. So yeah, it's more like, yeah, it's a reflection, really. So it's kind of like made me think, I'm already biased. How can I uproot how can I work on myself more to uproot this biasness, so that I am more open, so that I can forgive more, and whenever somebody says something, how was your day, no matter what that same person has said or done to me before in the past, how can I work, obviously the answer is 6 hours. Every time that comes up, keep doing it. But sometimes it also makes me think that, or how many people have I formed biased perception, and the effort that it takes, and I know some people are very good, in the sense that maybe they have never been traumatized. So like, their entire childhood is a pleasant one. They've never experienced any form of discrimination from the time that they are born. They have a very good childhood. They have a very good adult life. And so they never have that in their system. So another reflection for me is, and I always admire, I've seen and read stories of people who have been abused, gone through severe trauma, even physical trauma, but have managed to truly forgive and truly come out as compassionate. And that's really quite admirable. So yeah, it's just some reflections.
Yes, thank you, May, for sharing. And even in this week, when I reflect back on this week, if there is something happened, some instance or some condition that's happened in our family, what happens is that contact, whatever has arisen or that information has triggered some kind of restlessness or the endless flow of thoughts. Even if I recognize, letting go of them or just zigzagging with them was quite difficult for me. So instead of just zigzagging it, when I start, if it does not get zigzagged, I just start to forgive myself first for holding on to that or having that flow of thoughts continually, which is like keeping my mind on and not being in a happy, peaceful, calm state. So I just forgive it. And then when I start radiating loving kindness back to myself or the people who were involved in that kind of situation, then it kind of made my mind first peaceful, and then somehow that problem that was caused has also been resolved within 1 or 2 hours. And it's like this loving kindness is really working, and the loving kindness or equanimity, whatever I was radiating at that time, is like even they have some kind of acceptance or balance of mind for them to take the decision. If that person is kind of restless or anger or irritable, if we get anger or irritable, like if we take those energies or just take the vibe from them, what happens is even we start to have that non-stop kind of thoughts or questioning, or and it's quite difficult for us to if we are not on the path, it's quite difficult for us to come out of it or just recognize it, release it, relax and smile and come back. It would have taken like 1 week or maybe 1 month to come out of that situation. But if we can mindfully recognize it and just if we can do active meditation or sitting meditation, it's great because it works all the time and we recognize it, release it hundreds of times. As soon as it triggers, when we do it, that thought loses its energy, and then ultimately it has no energy, it just goes away, and we have this happy peaceful mind, and we can now share this with them as well. That's like magical thing, and it works all the time. Like Sister Kima says, it's just keeps working. If you do it, it will keep working. If you don't do it, it will not work. So sixaring and keeping that repeat step going is also like really important. And when even if 6 hours is just simply letting go and not being able to smile, but just radiate loving kindness. Forgiveness is the best thing. Like forgive them or forgive yourself, and then you have this forgive or let go of all this safe stuff, and then we can smile and we can radiate this loving kindness. It's good. Okay, anybody else have any question or want to reflect on this? Nanda madam, how is your practice going? Do you want to share something? Irritability is a big thing for me. Pi, message from Pi. So that's why I have taken this sutta. It's not only regarding anger or irritability or any kind of restlessness that triggers our mind from this external worldly context, maybe uh, something that you see or something that you hear sometimes triggers that dissatisfaction or irritability to happen. So cultivating mindfulness and recognizing is the biggest part. If you're not able to recognize, it's like so difficult to come out of that endless thoughts or that samsara of anger, restlessness. But as soon as you recognize it, if you have this continuous effort and energy, have this right view being established, knowing that this is not good for you, not good for others, you can come out of it. Definitely you can come out of it. As soon as you can recognize it, initially it might take time. Take a pause. If you can't take a pause, maybe just go and have some water. Take that time and just reflect. Okay, this is going to harm me for a longer time. It's not good for me. Then you can slowly train the mind. Start training the mind. Mindfulness being established. 6 hours for the first time, second time, third time. And then it just goes away. Okay. Uh, let's share some merit then. Also, every Sunday morning we have been reading Dhammapada stories. We have 8 o'clock Dhammapada versus story reading and half-an-hour meditation. Actually, it's the Hindi session that's normally been taken by Rajiv ji. These days I have been taking it up, and we are reading the story in English, and I'm just summarizing it after the English reading. And we are just taking last 10 minutes as a reflection part, where every week, if you want, you can share what happened in your week and how was your practice. And then you can also like give an accountability to the community on the talk on this day who are available. Like, I'm going to work on these things which I'm lacking, and then come back next week and just say what happened and were you able to do that.
Are those sessions recorded and
No, we are not.
uploaded onto? Are you not recording? Okay.
Okay, let's share some other. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear stop fearlessly. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they belong to the vast civilization. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May all you be happy. Thanking you for joining. May all be peaceful and happy. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
May God answer. Bye. May God answer.